Halloween season has come again once more in 2024. And so, when the mist becomes fog, thrills and chills will fill your, gills. Okay, we're not gonna continue with that voice anymore. But it is the Halloween season.
Happy Halloween!
And so, I figure I embrace this year with horror games. Yeah, the good stuff. Right, before I continue, let me take this dumbass cloak off. I mean, look where we are with horror games. On the perfect time of year that is Halloween, shoot, you might as well be playing these every damn day. That, and it also makes for late night funs. But what makes horror games so special is the fear, unraveling that fear, confronting that fear, facing it head on. And no genre of horror game does that better than... Survival horror games ask you to make your fears personal, to greet them with handshakes and then shoot them in the face. That kind of horror. But as much as they got a bit of slack way back when for tank controls and fixed cameras, I don't care. This is gold. This is gold in the horror genre. And aside from that, everything in a survival horror game is a puzzle. Trying to figure out where you are on the map? A puzzle. Combat? Prioritizing inventory space? A puzzle. The puzzles themselves? Big riddles. Big riddles that take hours to figure out in the first place. Though I'm pretty sure that some of you already know some of the big names in the genre itself. Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, you name it. This stuff is rocking. So, for across all these games, big and small, AAA and indie, I figured that I'd go back and take a look at the originator of this genre. The very classic. The one that people know of but don't really talk about much. Though, before I talk about the game itself, we should talk about the people who made it. 𝕺𝖗𝖏 Fujiwara, known for creating Ghosts and Goblins and producing Mega Man 2, was asked in '89 to make a movie tie-in game, the subject of today's video. Now, from what I remember from RagnarRox's video, of which you should go check out because that video was a pretty big inspiration for this one, the movie and the game were being made at the exact same time, I think. Sort of like a Scott Pilgrim sort of thing. And with that kind of development, many changes were made to the game. More enemies, exploring the Mamiya Mansion in full, and even having multiple endings, which you couldn't really have in a film, so, yeah. And talking about the movie itself, I watched it after playing the video game, and I gotta say, those are two very different experiences. You might as well be watching that, like, as a whiplash. But on the film itself, 7 out of 10, great. It was a wild experience to have at 4 a.m. Holy shit! What the fuck? Yeah. But with that said, no, I recommend you watch the film actually before watching the rest of this video. It's an hour and 41 minutes. It's free on YouTube. Yeah, it's free on YouTube. No copyright claim for them. I'm gonna link that in the description though, so you can check it out. But while the film became a relic of sorts, the game lived on. And you could see it in the biggest thing that it inspired, Resident Evil. Yeah, that game was the original for the original. And with the inspiration chain that is survival horror as a whole, I figured it was going to be fun to go back and look at this one. So yeah, without further ado, for this entire video, this long ass video, I'm going to be playing the entirety of Sweet Home and covering it in depth. Before I do that, I should talk about I'm gonna be playing this on an emulator. Yeah, Famicom hardware is very hard to come by, so I figured for this video I'd simplify that and play it, you know, on RetroArch. But at the same time, I don't advise piracy, of course. YouTube guidelines are very strict about that. And also, I'm not gonna make this a full gameplay video. You can watch a walkthrough for that. I'm just covering this for fun, really. So yeah, grab a snack, get a drink, get comfortable as we explore Mamiya Mansion in the classic landmark title of survival horror, Sweet Home.
日本
本映画の面白男伊丹十三があのスイートホームの
For this playthrough, I'm not going to be changing up the names like the infamous Takaguchi and Taro thing. For this playthrough, he's just going to be named Taro. I figured I'd mention that before moving forward. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where we start off. We're part of a filming crew who went to go to this haunted mansion to document the last of Mamiya Ichiro's frescoes. And before we move into the mansion, we should familiarize ourselves with the characters and the items that they have.
Funny muffler, jerky pal, boo-boo keys.
Actually, that's not a bad place to start. Starting with Emi, the character who has a key that can open locked doors around the mansion, and is also the strongest female character in the game. Then, we have our father, Kazuo, the team leader and the producer of the documentary. He carries a lighter, which can be used to burn ropes and attack enemies in battles, and he has the highest HP. Next up, we have Akiko, who is the weakest of the team, but carries in medicine, and she has a very important item, that being the medkit, that could heal ailments quickly. Next, we have Asuka, the team's art restorer. Using a vacuum, she can clean dirty frescoes and remove broken glass, and is the second strongest female character of the game. And lastly, we have Taro, the cameraman, who can take photos of the frescoes located around the mansion, and can also decode them as well. And he has the second highest HP, with the highest defense too for the team. Like I said, best to familiarize yourself with them and their abilities, because if they die in-game, they gone. This game has permadeath, and that means you lose their ability too. Now, the game won't softlock you to completion. If a character dies, you could find like a sub-ability around the mansion. Say if Akiko dies and you lose the medkit, there will be pills to at least heal the ailments, but it won't be as effective as the medkit. Right, now that we met everybody, we should probably stop stalling and standing around and actually think of how to get out of this place.
Somebody think of something and think of it fast.
Now, the first order of business was making parties, because in this game you can't have everyone go all at once with you, so I decided to split the teams into Traversal and then the Brutes. Being that Asuka and Taro have important items for the frescoes themselves, it was best to put them in a team at once, and I put Kazuo with them too, just in case for an extra man. Now, for the second party, all there was left was just Emi and Akiko, but I figured for the first party, since they're kicking ass moving around the mansion trying to find the frescoes, it would be best for the second party, that being Emi and Akiko, they could be the traversal team and move around the mansion since Emi has the key. Now, using Asuka's vacuum ability and moving into the lobby, we can see that this place is in a state of disrepair. And, well, yeah, obviously, it's a haunted mansion, but it's in a state of disrepair to where there's just a big chasm in the middle of the floor, so that means we have to explore. And taking a look on the first room on the left, we can find a room filled with miscellaneous stuff, but also important items as well. There's a fruit knife, a tonic that restores HP and prayer points, very important, a wax candle, and a note, which is a staple of this genre. And upon further inspecting the note, it welcomes us into the mansion, telling us to photograph the frescoes, because if we do, there'll be clues on how to get out of here. And seeing at the bottom, this was written by Ichiro himself. And following his advice, if we inspect the fresco up ahead, we can see a majestic sight. Wow, look at that, man. Too bad we're trying to get the fuck out of here, so we don't have time to look and awe at this thing. But using Taro's camera, letters will be revealed saying that 3 frescoes will solve a puzzle. Gotta keep that in mind. Leaving the room, we swap to Akiko and Emi so that we can use Emi's key ability to open up the door on the right. And the first thing we find on the floor in this room is a note, which is basically the same as the last one, but this time we get a new name, that being Kenji. Using Kazuo's lighter, we move just a bit more to the right and come across a skeleton, but before we can interact with it, we come across our first encounter of the game. Sadly, being that it is a doll, we punt the thing, and you'll realize that Sweet Home is an RPG. It follows the basic fundamentals of an RPG, attack, skills, that stuff, but in this game, there's prayers. Prayers are an omega skill in this game that follow a scale. The higher the scale, the more damage you'll put out with that prayer. Now, after defeating the evil doll, we move just a bit more to the right, picking up a silver knife, and coming across 2 wooden boards that will become very important in literally just a couple of seconds. Except, we get friggin' jumped again. Now after we whoosh away the wisp, we come across a room where it is just pitch black.
Advanced darkness.
But using that wax candle we found earlier, we can brighten up just a tiny bit to find that there's a note waiting for us. Reading the note, it says 1 fell down but was pulled to safety. Now, what does that mean, you might ask? But I wish I knew. But further in the room, we look and we see on the other side of a chasm that there's an oak spear waiting there. Ooh, shiny. So using some of the wood that we found earlier, we make a makeshift bridge, and I split Taro up from the group to go get that oak spear, since he was the only one without a weapon at this point. But grabbing the spear, we make it out of the room and head back towards the main hall. And before you cross the chasm, there's a note that we can read that says that there's a fresco up ahead on the left, but it also warns us to be careful as well. Another name to take note too, Takashi. But using a wood plank to make another makeshift bridge, I did something a bit serene. So my dumbass decides to walk across the bridge with all 3 characters, and of course shit went wrong. Like, the game told me. It gave me a note. I read it. Well, too bad I can't read. but the good thing is that we were able to pull Asuka up. And after catching our bearings and restoring ourselves a bit after that whole encounter, it was at this moment that I knew. I fucking love this game. It's when I realized that, at its core, Sweet Home isn't really a survival horror game at all, but a puzzle game with horror elements. And after realizing that, all I felt here on out for the rest of the playthrough was just pure groove and rhythm. But right, where was I? Oh yeah, we swap back to Akiko and Emi and start making our way towards the bridge again until... After we stomp on the worms, we recover Emi from her poisoning and we head to that room on the left that was mentioned in the note, only to find another fresco. And after using Asuka's vacuum, we can inspect the skeleton up ahead. And much to my surprise, he actually talked, saying that a light fell but he was too slow, and telling us to beware as well. And I'm gonna actually give a shit this time and take his words into account. So after leaving the skeleton and going closer to the fresco, we can see that this thing is really dirty compared to the last one, so we use Asuka's ability, the vacuum, and clean it up and take another picture of it. And once the letters are revealed, it says that we need a mallet to remove a boulder, so we're gonna have to be on the lookout for that. Leaving the room and making our way to the left once more, I was surprised when I was jumped by... So I ducked over to the right, but it didn't work. I wasn't expecting QuickTime events in this game. You know how old this is? It's on the NES. QuickTime events on the NES. Alright, well, moving forward from that, we head outside, making our way to a little grove of sorts, with bronze statues that can't be moved, and another note, this one by Takashi. Reading his note, it says that there's a fresco upstairs. We head back inside, using Emi's key to open the next door. And in this room is a long hallway, shrouded in darkness, using thunder to only brighten up small patches here and there. But on the wall it says that we should avoid the shadows at all costs. After taking another oak spear, we head out of the dark room and make it to the other side of the main floor, creating a little shortcut for Akiko and Emi. Progressing a bit further on the other side, we're able to check out a couple of rooms, and on the first room, a bit of debris falls as we try to enter it, so no luck here. Except for a note for Etsuko saying that there's another camera and a spare key in a different room. Back outside, there's another note left by Takashi saying that if one is caught, we should pray. Though as we enter the room above, we can see that it's a dining area with a fireplace. But as we're dodging and weaving through the bats, we get hit with yet another... Ouch! But it doesn't stop there as we get wombo comboed by...
I just turn around right now and see that?
After all those battles, we patch ourselves up and then move upstairs. And after moving a bit more towards the left, we use another wood plank to make a makeshift bridge and split tower up from the group only to find another fresco. But reading the note on the floor in front of us, it tells Shogo that the generator is on the east side of the mansion. Shoot, maybe we should get the power up and running first. Man, I should have thought of that beforehand. But after taking the rope and inspecting the fresco, taking a picture of it once more, letters reveal that the mallet is under the desk with the room with a small beast. So, it's literally right back over there, man. Fine, whatever. We go back downstairs and we head back to that room where the debris was, and we're actually able to get through it with the mallet. So after taking the wire and exiting the room, we're actually able to start progressing towards the east side of the mansion. Now in this dark room, when we start moving east, we're actually able to start breaking the boulders now. After picking up a few more items and entering the next room, we're then met with... After taking care of the zombie, we move a bit more to the right, finding yet another note that says Etsuko, flashlight, shadow. Whatever could that mean? After 2 back-to-back QuickTime events, we use Emmy's key once more to open up another door. Entering the room and interacting with the fresco, taking yet another picture, letters revealed on the 10th anniversary, the first child is born, hinting at the dark lore of this frickin' game. But leaving the room and going to the room right above it, we interact with a skeleton that says, Takashi, the generator, is East Garden before collapsing, so there's that. Swapping to Asuka, we begin a little solo adventure by putting another makeshift bridge down and entering the room right below. Now the first thing we come across is yet another note that says in order to head east we must go north. Which I'm assuming will be in a bit, because after getting thwacked by yet another chair... Further to the right after placing 2 planks down, we find a flashlight. But also in a surprise, a fucking boulder finds us and starts barreling its way down. But after we narrowly avoid it, we get Asuka back to the gang as we exit the room. And using our newly acquired flashlight, we shine some darkness away, allowing us to explore the east side a bit further. And after exploring this place a little more, we come across a door that Emmy can once again use the key on to unlock. We step through, as we then finally reach the full east side of the mansion. After getting the others, and coming across a room with a large desk, we're able to take a breather as we move on to what is my favorite segment of this entire game. Before I start, I should say that the reason why I love this part of the game so much is because exploration is cranked to the max while also learning more about the place. And also it has a really cool action segment, that being we turn on the power. But we're not quite there yet, and after resting a little bit, we exit the room to explore this part of the hallway. Entering the first room on the left, we can see yet another fresco, but also, to my surprise, friggin' traps! The room is set on fire, but yet during it, I just decided to look at the fresco and inspect it, and I was fine. While on fire, we take a photo of the fresco, and it says that a knight needs a spear, which is probably referring to the desk room we were in earlier. Leaving the room and entering back into the hallway, we then come across... After defeating the Hound, we take a fire extinguisher and move up to a similar room that was like the prior one beforehand. And after learning our lesson about the previous fire trap, we use the extinguisher and the room is all good again. Okay, now that we can inspect this fresco without being on fire, we use Asuka's vacuum ability and Taro's camera, and the letters this time just say, "Where there is lightning." Okay, so that's definitely inferring us back to the desk room with the knight. Lightning went crazy in there. But ooh, looking further back into this room, we can find bloody letters written on the wall saying, "Can't enter without prayer." Okay, so then moving towards the statue and inspecting that, we can see that we can pray. So why don't we use that, huh? After one quick hallelujah, Kazuo drew the spear, and being that this is every item in this room, we head back out towards the hallway. And now that we got the spear, we head back into the desk room with the knight, and after placing the spear on the knight's hand, lightning freaking bursts through the wall as it's just now exposed, and we're able to go outside to where the generator room is. And now, this next part I'm going to play uninterrupted. Of course, I'm going to keep talking, but this part is my favorite area in the entire game. It's not really that special. You go outside and we turn on the power, that's it. But everything about it is just so fucking cool. The music that's playing for the NES, moving towards it, just getting around in the circular area just to turn on some power, the rain, the atmosphere, all of it. It's so cool, man. Take a look. Taking our first steps outside, well, this place honestly looks like it came from Metal Gear on the MSX, but looking up ahead, we can see that rocks block the path. Now, I could have been smart and used the mallet, but nah, I figure effort counts. But before we can continue further, we get attacked by Now, everything after the grave fight is a bit of a rush. We ignore the weapon that's outside and head into this little shed of sorts. And we pick up the mallet because I originally thought, yeah, I don't have a mallet, but I forgot that Emi and Akiko have one. But after dodging and weaving the spirits in this room, we go to the gas that's right next to it, and I just drop the mallet and pick up the gas instead. And I go back outside, but we get hit with yet another grave, but honestly it's not that much of a trouble, so we kick his ass. Now, after using the vacuum to clear up the glass and progressing just a little bit forward, we can see that we're back at the rock area. Now, swapping to Akiko and Emi, we can get them outside and use the mallet to clear a path naturally, and we get the group back together. Now, after clearing all those rocks, we head down to the generator room area, but we use the vacuum to clear the way. But seeing that the door is locked, we're gonna swap back to Akiko and Emi, but before we can even open it, we get attacked by yet another freaking grave. Now, after healing Kazuo from his poison state, I honestly wanted to take that trip with Akiko and Emi back to the weapon that we found earlier, because I forgot that if I left them behind, like, weaker compared to everybody else, then it's gonna make the late game a bit more troubling. So, yeah, I picked up the knife and started making our way back to the group using the original entrance now that the rocks were clear. But before I could even do that, we're attacked by, you guessed it, another grave. But I honestly didn't give a fuck this time because I just skipped the fight and ran. And yeah, I know, 𝕺𝖗𝖗𝖆𝖑𝖆 saying I wanted to get them stronger, so I skip a fight, whoop-de-doo, but I was honestly intrigued by this segment so much because I wanted to see what was inside the generator room. Right, now after finally getting to the door and using Emi's key to unlock it, we enter the generator room only to see, well, we actually can't see at all. So we try to navigate through the darkness, and we can see writing on the wall, or at least somehow, and it says in blood, gas. Now moving just a bit forward, we can actually see the generator itself, but before interacting with it, we get attacked by...
Yes. Give me one moment, will you?
Okay, after that, a whole host of things happened, so I'm just gonna kick it up a little bit. A quick time event happened, and I was attacked by another grave, so yeah, it was worth skipping, but whew, we finally got the freaking power on. Alright, now that this show's on the road, we snag a tonic and head back outside. But on the way back and regrouping everybody, I got attacked by... not a grave, actually. Okay, after that scuffle, we trade tonics and start wrapping up this segment of the game, and still, this is my favorite part. Because of the music and the pacing of it, I have to go fast, you know? Like in this game, I was just built up to the fact that I gotta take my time, I gotta make sure I know my items and area, my surroundings. But this, no, I gotta be quick and snapping on the fly. And that's not even covering the more important part of this section, the exploration half. But now that we turn on the power, we actually can do that. So, to wrap up this segment, we move everybody inside and take another rest in the desk room. Now, once we catch our breath and leave the desk room, we're able to go down at the bottom of the hallway and use Kazuo's lighter and Emi's key to reveal a shortcut! A Dark Souls-like shortcut. And if you know the genre well, and how map design works, seeing it done early here is pretty sick. But yeah, now that we got the power back on, it's gonna make traversing much easier. And speaking of traversing, we go back all the way to the dining room, up to the second floor. Now, originally on that top room, we couldn't stay in it for long because of the darkness. Something would kick us out. Get out! And now that we can actually see, all it really was just armor. Ugh, and it's looking for a fight. After defeating the armor, we enter through the door only to come across a very long hallway, which then connects to a room with a super large hole in it. And using Taro's rope to get across the little mini hole, we can see that there's a courtyard down below. But being that we don't have a safe way to get down there, it means we're going to have to traverse the place more in order to find a way to get down there. Now, in this first room up ahead, you're going to want to be careful because the floor is very sticky, and if your character is stuck there for too long, they're going to start sinking. But luckily, we were able to pull Kazuo out right in time before... Alright, after that, we pull Kazuo out from the floor yet again as we start carefully moving towards the right side of this room. First up, we have a note. Left on the table, it's by Takashi saying, it's terrible. Lock the diary and hide the key. Ooh, that shit must have been really bad if we knew to lock the diary up. Now moving just slightly toward the right, we get to meet someone actually. Yo, hey man, what's up? Okay, after that fight, we'll be a bit more careful with meeting new people. Moving a bit forward, we can see another fresco up ahead, but before that, we can also find another note. Reading it, it says, courtyard, reach, which could be in order to reach the courtyard, but the rest of it is just a bit blank, saying, hung on 2 pegs. Inspecting the fresco in this room, taking a picture of it and revealing the letters, it just says, my wife killed our child by accident. Okay. Going out of the room now. We move up towards the left, seeing that there's a locked door, and that means we get Akiko and Emi to regroup with us as Emi opens yet another door. Stepping outside, we could see such a peaceful scene of forest down below, and also another note. And this one is in fresh ink, with no name attached to it though. But it says that the diary key is hidden, a clue is in the basement, and that we must escape this house of residing evil. Now after using Asuka's vacuum and Emi's key to open another door, honestly, we start an Akiko and Emi side quest, featuring Asuka. Now honestly, in this hallway, I took a gamble and went to the first door up top because I wanted to explore, and locked doors equal exploration, so obviously I wanted to go investigate that further. And honestly, it wasn't really that bad of a guess. We find a note. It says, "The whole ladder, no rope." Well, I guess we're gonna have to be looking for that. Now moving just a bit forward to a weapon we could have honestly skipped. We are then met with... Now after investigating this small area just a bit further, we find a little room that says in a note to enter the basement by the courtyard and to bring medicine as well. And looking over to the right, that there's blood trails that cover the door. So after following them down this little corridor, we use the key again to unlock a door and find a rope ladder. Now after making our way back to the courtyard entrance, we use the rope ladder on the two pegs, and hey, we're able to enter it now. Taking in the courtyard, or rather how decrepit it is, we move just a bit forward and use Asuka's vacuum in order to clear the way into a room that is just filled with water. And in the water there's a skeleton that even says, "Be careful of the water in here." And that's because of these fountains that push water out, and if your character gets stuck in there, it's going to be hard to get them out because then you'll get other characters stuck as well, and then thus the permadeath happens. But after leaving the room with the water fountains, we're then met with... After battling the maniac, we use Kazuo's lighter to enter more of the courtyard, and we learn about an enemy that's only specific to this area. Like I said, this enemy is only specific to this area, and that's what makes it so fun, because when descending further in the courtyard, we come across a door with a mirror in front of it, meaning, yeah, we're gonna have to battle this one. And after breaking it, we head into a room with another fresco, but we gotta be careful because, like the warning mentioned from the skeleton earlier, there's a bunch of water in it. And after doing the usual fresco shtick, the letters just say the statue, back to a lake, which is obviously probably gonna be for later. And after grabbing the items in this room, such as the tonic, this is honestly where I got confused, and it's probably because I missed something, maybe I missed a note or a fresco, but the game doesn't really tell me where to go next or advise me how to progress further. And it was only when I realized that it was just NES bullshit, you know, where nothing makes sense, that I had to use the mallet in order to break a mirror that I already fought and progress into a little secret room with a big statue, probably referring to the fresco saying that there was a statue connected to a lake, maybe, but looking over to the room on the left, we come across a bedroom. So I figure, yeah, okay, I'll move everybody in here, and this is where I'll end this segment of the game. And I mean, whew, like I said, exploration was cranked to the max. We got a lot done. We turned on the power to the place, explored most of the east wing, covered the northern region, and finally made it to the bottom of the courtyard. That's a lot that we did. And that's why it's a shame that the next part of this game is my least favorite part of it. Right, now before I go into it, I'm not going to make this entire thing like a hate thing, because that would be boring for this portion of the video. But honestly, I don't like this segment. The rest of the chapter is great and fine. Just this little moment here, because it's like an inverse of just turning on the power, but with extra steps, and those extra steps kind of dip when there's an increased encounter rate. Yeah, so I'll expand on it more when we get to it, but we gotta get to it first, right? So yeah, leaving the little bedroom, the first thing we can inspect is of course that fountain that's pouring all that water out. Now, your first idea would just to be normally inspecting it. Yeah, okay, cool and all. You wouldn't be expected to take a fucking sip out of this thing. Who knows how long this water has like been infested with gunk and shit. But beyond all logic, we decided to take a sippy from this water. So naturally, when you drink old, decrepit water in a haunted mansion, a freaking voice booms across the room saying that we drank the blood of its victims, and that sooner or later, our blood will flow. Then the room gets filled with blood water, but of which we decide to use the pail and take some of the blood water with us. And moving up towards the top part of the room, we take the log that's up there, and you're gonna need a fuck ton of them later. But entering through the hole in the wall, we come across yet another fresco, so we take a picture of it, and the letters reveal that blood will melt aged bronze. Well, we got a pail full of blood water, and there was a bronze statue right down into the bedroom area, so we head back over there. And after spilling the blood on the statue, we then enter a hallway that leads us to my least favorite part of this game. The part of the game that left me feeling real. Yeah, annoyed is the best word I could use to describe my feelings on this segment, because like it doesn't really leave me upset, but I'm disappointed at the potential it has, that being the West Islands. The West Islands segment of this game, it's like the anti-generator segment, like I said, but with extra steps, and with an increased encounter rate for no real good reason, and with the added bonus of a music track that gets repetitive fast, it doesn't really help much either. But I'm not here to complain, I'm here to cover this segment, because like I said, there's potential. So after using a log to make a makeshift bridge over the water, we grab the gloves that are going to be needed for this segment up ahead because we could use it to get past the thorns. So after carefully navigating our way through the thorns, we get the axe, and with the axe we're able to chop those little bits of wood up ahead, but before we could even move forward, we get attacked by... So after healing Kazuo from his curse with the medkit, we use another log to make a bridge and move across to another segment of this West Island area and chat up with a zombie. He says don't break it, and we'll see exactly what it is up ahead. And after using another log, geez, noticing a pattern here, we walk past some thorns to place down another log. Wow. So yeah, just after that we find two boats, which would make traversal a bit more fun, honestly. So paddling our way to the bottom of the map area, we move across a bit more thorns, and we pick up a shovel. So taking it with us, we go back to the boat and start traversing the waters again, only to find a little mini island on the right side of the docking area. And on this little mini island, we find a memorial. And I was shocked when my character asked, is the baby buried here? Because beforehand, like, I wasn't looking for no baby. So when he asked that, I just wanted to know, like, why, what's going on? Because, okay, if it wasn't already like obvious enough with the subject matter and everything we just kind of been going through with this game's lore is dark, and I'll get to that in a bit in a segment in this chapter. But for this part on the NES, we dig up a baby's grave. But oddly enough, the good thing is that there's no baby in here. Whoosh! But instead, there's a basement key. Now, after feeling maximum amounts of relief that there was no baby in that grave, we head back to the bedroom. And before I continue the next segment of Sweet Home, I should explain why that segment didn't really work for me as much as it should have. And that's because, well, I already mentioned the encounter rate and the annoying music track, but I feel like it was a bit too obvious with the gameplay loop. That being, we just used a bunch of logs and getting past the thorns to make it to the memorial, and that was it. I wish there was a bit more complexity in terms of navigating through the West Islands, because there was the boat, yeah, but for getting to the boat, it just didn't really feel like it was fun or like a surprise or a aha moment. It just felt like, oh shit, I just want to get out of this. And honestly, you could say the same for turning on the power in terms of lacking complexity, but that's just because that's the point of that segment. It's a rush, you gotta get there. It's all contained in one little area that you have some control over. But with this, it's just kind of, it's like a mosh pit, like an arena that you're desperately trying to fight your way out of, instead of trying to, go in with a mad rush thinking, yeah, I can do this, But, it's a shame, yeah, but hey, there are better things up ahead. This game has more fun in store. And on the game, hey, we should get back to it. So when we enter back to the bedrooms, a new face shows up, Yamamura. And if you didn't watch the movie, you're not gonna know who this guy is. Asking us calmly what we did like Dumbledore, he's then surprised to find that we have the low basement key, of which he's ecstatic about, and that, he can show us the way to the basement. He's in the same stitch as us. We're all stuck here. And being that he's the only other person alive here, we ask him what happened here, but he then pushes the statue out of the way. So we follow him out, and then he says that Lady Mamiya was at peace, but some clown dug up her child. But there was no kid when we dug up the memorial in there, so it couldn't have been us. But Lady Mamiya is still upset because her dead child is supposed to be in the basement of the place, but nobody can find it. Half of the things I say in this video are not fun to say at all. Moving just a bit forward, we ask him, how do we even get out of here? And moving into the next room, he replies, well, I don't know. So, yeah, we're kind of at a loss here. But moving into the next room, after Yamamura punches a freaking hole in the wall, he suggests that we should probably start finding that baby in order to get out of here. And hey, look at that, we're back at the courtyard. But after moving literally just a few inches, he gets attacked by Lady Mamiya herself, saying in the wall, "Forget me!" And not to laugh at your pain, but we've been literally fighting people for hours, old man. This is just a flesh wound.
Please, 𝕺𝖗𝖏𝖑. Get up!
But, okay, fine, you get knocked out, but he says right before passing out that the basement, ugh. But being that there's no entrance in sight at all, it means we're gonna have to backtrack a bit. And luckily, we have new areas to explore thanks to Yamamura. So first up, we head back to that cave-looking area, and we explore a bit on the left-hand side of it, finding a fresco. So we call for Asuka and Taro to come over and, of course, take a picture of it. The letters this time say, use at the site with 4 stones. Huh. And actually, there's 2 other frescoes in this area. The first room on the left, after we swap Akiko and Emi, we enter it, and once we get to the other side, the floor just breaks, and there's a big chasm in this room now. So we pull Emi up, and this next part gets a little wonky. Akiko then gets teleported by a spirit or a wisp into the next room with the second fresco, and again, taking another step, the freaking floor breaks, but we're good. We don't fall this time. And after getting teleported by a wisp, we meet up with Kazuo and Asuka and Taro again. Yeah. So heading back into those rooms with the frescoes, we can use that pattern of the wisps moving us into different rooms to formulate a plan of how to, take the picture of these easier. And first off, I sent Asuka in to see if any one of them needed to be vacuumed, and good thing none of them did. So taking a picture of the first fresco, letters appear saying, "Melt the blue statue for a sign to the basement." Okay. So taking a picture of the second fresco, the letters on this one reveal, "My wife killed a child for a playmate." Like I said, this game is dark, and it only gets darker from here. Investigating this room further, we find a note on the wall by Takashi saying that we need the tool to go below. Now, upon getting whisked away and regrouping back with the group, we then get attacked by... Now, after that fight, we head back up to the forest area, and we use the fresco's advice to push the blue statue that's out there that Yamamura pushed into the fountain. So, taking the tool from the fountain, we head back over to the courtyard entrance, and then use the tool to access the basement entrance. Now, upon entering the basement, the entire mood for this chapter shifts. The first hit I got of that mood shift was the music, honestly. I loved the entire soundtrack of this game, except for the West Islands, but the basement theme really hits different because it really feels like there's just a haunting going on in here. And it's fitting given the lore dump we find in this area, but being that we're not there, it means obviously we're going to traverse this area. But before we can even do that, we're met with... Hey, no. Turn around. We already know what you're gonna look like from the other side, okay? We met your buddy at the top of the courtyard, so it's no surprise here. Yeah, there it is, that ugly fucking mug of yours. A real looker. Okay. Let's not make this any weirder. Let's just fight each other now. Okay, after that exchange, we move towards the right and use Emmy's key to open up a door. Though, before we could even enter the door, we get into another fight. Okay, so after that fight, we enter the room only to see that around its edges, everything is lit ablaze and that there's a fresco on the wall. We should probably put out the fire, right? No, I'm just gonna walk in it. Yeah, so we take a picture of the fresco and it says that the gem is guarded by a statue. Okay, noted. Now, trying to leave this room, and heading back a bit towards the entrance of the basement, we are then jumped by Right, so after that we use Emmy's key to open up a door. And as we step inside, the room gets on fire once more. Geesh, that's very similar to the last one. But we use a fire extinguisher to extinguish the flames. And we find a note on the floor by Takashi saying the diary key is in the coffin and that he's badly wounded. Yeesh, I hope he's able to, make it out alright. Most likely not, but I hope. And there's a fresco on the wall once more. Now, inspecting this fresco, it's different from the rest of them. I've advised that if you have trouble dealing with topics such as these, that you look away or skip this fresco, or skip out on the rest of this video entirely. Yeah, I'm sorry that you're going through it, and, it'll get better. It's gonna get better. Keep moving forward. But the fresco on here says, after we reveal the letters, it says, I thought it was over after that word. So, yeah, okay. We're moving into darker territory from here, and I figure I mentioned that now, so that I don't make anybody uncomfortable. And yeah, I get that it's almost Halloween, and that this is an NES game, and that this is just a dumb little YouTube video, but at the same time, either way, I got a responsibility to keep it real, Though, yeah, I figure I put the tone change here as a, warning before we go a bit deeper. So, yeah, I guess we should do that. So, after leaving that room and making it past a couple of flames, we find a hole in the wall, and entering it, we find a guy who is digging into the wall. So, he asks us if we have a shovel in order to break water through it, and so, yeah, we trade him with the shovel, and everything floods, causing the party to split up for a bit. So after regrouping everybody, we go back towards the entrance of the basement, only to see that the statue that had been previously there blocking a door is now gone. So we enter it, and we see that this room is just very dark, that has like a big broken bridge, but in it there is a gem that we can pick up. And essentially the gem is the important item of this area, so yeah, once we get that, we start trying to explore more. And coming across one of the rooms that we were originally in the direction of, we enter it and we find a bunch of dead children. There's skeletons just lying across the floor, and a note too on the desk. It's from Kenji saying that he found a diary page saying that the child fell into the incinerator, and that after that Lady Mamiya went insane and started tossing other children into the incinerator. So, piecing it all together, this is where all the lore for this place comes from, and I'll let the film version of Sweet Home and Yamamura explain it better than I can.
30年前のことだ。間宮家に待望の赤ん坊が生まれた。間宮一郎は喜び、我が子の成長の物語を壁一面に書こうとした。しかし、幸せは長くは続かなかった。ある朝、間宮夫人はいつものように地下室へ降り、焼却炉のコックをひねったんだ。それがどうして？よちよち歩きを始めたばかりの赤ん坊が焼却炉に入り込んで遊んでいたのさ。赤ん坊を引きずり出した時にはすでに手遅れだった。母親もひどい火傷を負い片方の目を失った。事件の後、この地方一帯の赤ん坊が何人も神隠しにあった。犯人は間宮夫人だった。村の赤ん坊をさらっては次々と焼却炉に投げ込んでいたんだ。
どうしてそんなひどいことを？
子供の遊び友達さん。死んだ子が一人ぼっちじゃ寂しいだろう。そう思って遊び友達を連れてきてやっていたのさ。事実を知って村人たちは間宮邸へ押し寄せた。追い詰められた間宮夫人は自ら焼却炉に身を投じた。 間宮夫人は死んだ。間もなく一郎も死んでいった。しかし一郎は死ぬまで絵を描き続けた。これが間宮邸の物語さ。
Okay, let's return the vibes a little bit. Moving into the next room over on the right, there's a note there that says, Shogo, Takashi is very injured. You must find Lady Mamiya's room. Check the second floor. Okay, that at least is a start to something on how to get out of here. Points us in the right direction. Alright, next up, we head up to the fresco, and we use the vacuum and the camera, and taking a picture of it, the letters reveal, this time, the blue fire, pray with the gem in hand. And basically it connects right outside to the blue fire that's just there. We use the gem we got, and the blue fire goes away, and we use the low basement key. Now, once we enter this room, we wonder what exactly this place is, but then we start hearing a baby, and that it's crying, and, well, that's because this is the incinerator room, where the child lost its life. And it doesn't get much better from here, because after using the lower basement key, we enter a room to find a bunch of coffins. And they hold various different items in them. One coffin is empty, the second one houses a corpse in it, and the last one holds the diary key. So after picking up the key and moving it into our inventory, we then move to the next room over and find a note by Takashi saying, My job is done. Head to the veranda. You must get more power to push the statues. I wish I could go with you. Unfortunately, it's illegible, and we can't make it out, really. And deeper into this chamber, we actually find the person who wrote these notes. He's dead. He's gone. Rest in peace, man. Without your notes, we wouldn't have gotten through half the game. But with the diary key, it means we can leave the basement and enter back into the courtyard area. And climbing up the rope ladder, we then make it back to the diary. After unlocking it, we open it up and read its contents, saying, She locked herself up in her room. The door is locked. I have to enter through the veranda. I must stop her. And we come to realize that this is Ichiro's diary. Reading further, it says, Her spirit has become possessed with rage. The innocent deaths must stop, even if it means losing my own life. With all this importance of the second floor of the mansion with prior notes, the diary basically confirms that we basically have to head to Lady Mamiya's room, and it's located on the second floor. So, in that point of direction, we head out towards the balcony. And after pushing the statue, we use the bow like a grappling hook of sorts to get across. And after using the lower basement key once more, we enter a long stretch of hallways where there are just a bunch of boulders. Yeah, Indiana Jones ain't got shit on me. So after carefully and methodically maneuvering our way past the two boulders, we're then attacked by... Okay, so from there we dodge yet another boulder, and then moving downwards we dodge two boulders that guard a big door. And before we progress further into this inner sanctuary, I wanted to explore this little mini area first, and before I could, we were stopped by... After healing our party from that fight, we walked down a couple of stairs and entered this small little mini room filled with miscellaneous items, and I figure here this would be the best place to, you know, recover and halt our tracks for a bit as we enter the inner sanctuary. Alright, now that we got everybody together, we can go down these stairs into a dark tunnel of sorts, and we use Kazuo's lighter to burn through this rope and inspect this fresco on the wall. Doing the huge, we take a picture of it, and the letters on this one say, "A man awaits his master's rings." Now, we can move further into this tunnel, but unfortunately we're blocked off by two statues, but there is something that catches our eye, so we're gonna have to come back to that ladder down on the other side. But, leaving this place, we head to the door with the big two boulders, and moving past it into this room, we find a bunch of knights patrolling the area, and unlike the usual where I just carefully maneuver my way past them, nah, I fought them head on, gotta get that free XP. But after fighting those knights, we come across three statues with their hands open, and this will take us to the final area of the game, but we don't have the necessary items in order to progress that, so we just keep exploring. So first up, and moving downward to the bottom part of this map, we can enter a room with just a bunch of cats in them. Okay. Moving past that, we go into the same hallway we were in earlier, and this time we pick up the item that was there. We swapped the gem and the ruby, but I think the gem is important later, so we hold on to it? Yeah. Alright, now this next part is tricky. We head back to the safe room area we were at earlier, but entering a room on the right of it. And in this room is a ice area of sorts, and we gotta be careful because at the end of the hallway we could see right next to it, there's a bunch of zombies or skeletons in there that will kill us if we, you know, miss the pegs there. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to have the rope on you, so with that, we carefully trudge along the ice, and we use the rope to get to a door, and we use Emmy's key to open the door. And walking through it, there's just a long hallway that goes down, and then to the right, in said hallway, there is just a long corridor filled with a bunch of statues. That means that there's going to be a bunch of quick time events. So, we rush right through it. Now, after entering the next room over, we find a bunch of people, I think. Okay, look, I never interacted with them, because I was just on the hunt to get out of here, but I think they're spirits, or ghosts, or whatever. Look, there's a dead skeleton over there, so they're probably just spirits. But, more importantly, we unlock the door that's in here, to find a shortcut back to the area we were once at. After gathering everyone together, we enter this room again, and we enter the tunnel, which is similar again to the last one. So we use Kazuo's lighter to burn the rope, and progressing just a bit forward, we're then jumped by. After that battle, we come across yet another fresco, and it's just as similar to the last one in terms of positioning, but inspecting it and taking another picture, the letters this time say, "The tomb was broken. She's possessed the house." What is this, fucking Monster House? Like the movie? Well, after that, we drop the lower basement key because we don't need it anymore, and moving forward, we come across a corpse saying, "You need 2 possessions to confront Lady Mamiya." Okay, what kind? Something to think about later. But progressing a bit forward, we come across yet another long hallway, and we use Asuka's vacuum to clear up the debris. Moving to the very bottom, we find a small little room and another set of keys, actually. The 2 keys. And with the 2 keys, we head back out into the main hallway of this area and unlock the door that's needed to progress further. And as we enter it, to my surprise, there's just a bunch of ice, but luckily we can move out of the way before we meet our end to those freaking undead zombies down there. And entering this room, it's just a quiet, quaint little bedroom of sorts. This bedroom actually being Ichiro's study, thanks to freaking Yamamura. Hey man, what's up? How's it going? Good? You healed from your injuries? Alright, sick. He then tells us that we have everything we need and that we should enter her room by the lower right door, outside in that hallway. But I don't want to go there yet. I want to explore this and get this fresco first. Taking a picture of it, the letters this time say, when the two meet, flash. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. But alright, fine. We'll head down there. But before we actually head down to the bottom of the sanctuary, I figure I'm going to place one of the candles that we got earlier onto one of the statues. So, okay, for real, we head to the bottom of the inner sanctuary and use the 2 keys to open up the door. And entering it, we see someone up ahead, and we think it's Lady Mamiya, but it's not. It's just some fucking hermit guy. The hermit guy who says, I serve Ichiro, by his order, none shall pass. So my first thought was, why do you smell bad? Then my second thought was using the jade and ruby together, and once we do, they start lighting up. So, after one quick hallelujah, the gems start glowing and shining, and then after that, this guy thinks that we're Ichiro himself. And he says, I've done as you asked, none have passed. Farewell, good sir. And he just gets out the way. Okay, see ya. Didn't he look like Danny DeVito's penguin? Or is it just me? Sorry, okay, moving on. Okay, now after moving just a bit forward, we get freaking knocked back to the wall, and then Yamamura shows up saying, be brave, she's up ahead. He then starts saying, go to sleep, Mamiya. And she returns with,
Too bad you will die.
and then moving just a bit forward, he notices that there's a barrier blocking our way. But Yamamura then reassures us saying, don't worry, I'll take care of this. While I can't be with you, never underestimate the power within you. Saying it's the only way to overcome Lady Mamiya. So long. So then, I was like, what do you mean so long? And then he walks into the barrier, and he fucking dies!
Yo! Oh, dude, that's so fucking gnarly! Holy shit!
So after his demise, we enter her bedroom, only to find that she's waiting for us in there, saying, your powers are meaningless against me. And then after that, she teleports us to... When this happened, I honestly felt like turning off the game. But little did I know that it was actually important. So, I pressed on. Jumping back to our other characters and filling the void that was left in Lady Mamiya's room, we inspect the fresco on the wall using the vacuum and the camera, and these letters reveal, I need the tool, the diary, photo, and the coffin. And that's going to be important for Lady Mamiya's boss fight. After of which, on the floor, there's a gold key. And this is going to be important for the next segment, the next chapter in this game. But we use that key to exit Lady Mamiya's room, and then head back to the door next to the big pit room, and then opening it, we enter... When this happened... Well, I still got off the game. It was 12 a.m. and I wanted some sleep. But before I did that, I regrouped everybody into the dining room. And yeah, this is where I'll end this chapter here. Because the next part is where we start backtracking in the mansion. And then from there, it's the end of the game. Yeah, we're really reaching the end of this thing. And, well, we still gotta get there. But for it, I conclude this chapter. As we then explore the next part of this mansion. Well, actually, I should be saying the rest of this mansion instead of the next, because, yeah, with the gold key, we're able to open doors that we couldn't have earlier in all parts of the mansion. And that's what we're going to be doing for this chapter. Like, for example, we have to head back to the east side of the mansion and unlocking a door. We enter the room and maneuver past an ice trap, And then moving past it, we talk to a zombie, saying Takashi pushed the bronze statue. And then we head up to the top of it, and we pick ourselves up a slide, which is important and the main goal for this part of exploring the mansion. We take a picture of the room's fresco, as it says the projector shows the way. Alrighty, the next order of business is finding that projector, and honestly it's very easy to find. It's back over in the main hall. It was the door that's locked on the right of the little passageway with the lightning and stuff. So the first thing we find in here is a note on the wall saying, "Etsuko, don't come, I will follow Takashi." And then, after which we inspect the projector, but, you know, we don't got much in terms of slides. So, we head back outside to the garden grow little area and push the bronze statue out of the way like that zombie guy mentioned to us. And we cross the thorns without the gloves. I figure it doesn't matter. It didn't really do much damage anyway, but we pick up the slide, and then we go up and inspect the fresco out here. And after once again using the vacuum and the camera, this fresco's letters reveal 3 memories open the way, which could be referring to the slides, as I forgot to mention that we picked up the 3rd one in that fireplace in the dungeon area with Akiko and Emi earlier. After placing down all 3 slides into the projector, we then, do a quick hallelujah as usual, and then it says the light causes the wall to fall, and leaving the projector we can see that there's now a big exposed hole in the wall. So climbing up the ladder past it, we then enter a walkway bridge of sorts that's in the main hall. So unlocking the door that's just up ahead, we progress back into the courtyard area of the map, and that honestly surprised me in this part when exploring the rest of this mansion. But importantly, we pick up the iron key, head back to the left side of the dining room area, and open the door using said iron key. Now, once entering it, we get immediately tricked. Lava comes down off the wall, so we gotta bolt it to the other side of the room. And after quickly realizing that we're yet again in the courtyard area, we just move a bit forward to a locked door, and we can use the 2 keys in order to open it. In here, we got a heck of a lot of items to pick up. Starting off first, though, we should explore a little bit. Heading to the first course, we talk to it, and it says, Etsuko. Not much we can do here. So then, we head to the fresco, and do the usual, inspect it. And the letters on this one reveal, use 4 items at the signs of change. Now, that's probably referring to the tool, the coffin, the photo, and the diary, which are important. And that's what we're going to be doing now, actually, for the rest, is picking up and obtaining those 4 items for the end. And then, after we inspect the fresco, we can head over to the bottom right corner and get the blue wax candle. And then we bring in Akiko and Emi in order to pick up the photo, of which, that's pretty much this entire room. We exit it, and then we descend the ladder that's right outside, and we get back to the dungeon area. Before we can even open the doors with the 2 keys, we get attacked by... Okay, from here we unlock the door that's blocking us from the rest of the dungeon, as we enter the dungeon now. And this area is important because it has one of the items we're going to need for the final boss, that being the coffin. But before we can get to that... After we enter that little door on the left, we come across a room with a ginormous pit, and it seems very suspicious, but there is a fresco in there too. So, only having Asuka and Taro, we enter the room again, and we go and inspect the fresco, and this is a trap, as usual. But, okay, after taking a picture of it, we see that the letters reveal, 3 stand in your way unmoving, which is probably referring all the way back to those 3 statues that hold the candles. But a problem occurs from obvious trap. The room starts sinking, with Taro and Asuka slowly spiraling down the center. But with quick thinking with Kazuo, we grab the rope that's outside and we manage to get the 2 with precise aim. So whew! After that, we got another long series of events to go through. First off, we gotta cross this huge friggin' blood river or whatever that's in the dungeon, and you gotta avoid those 2 rooms that are there. They're basically the same as the spiraling sand pit room, except you could just easily avoid it by not going in there since they have no items at all. But, right, where was I? Tracking all the way down to the end of this blood river, you can come up across this small room with another fresco and 6 coffins. So, after bringing in the rest of the gang, we use the vacuum on this fresco, same with the camera, and the letters on this one, the last fresco we ever find, reveal, blue flames in hand. Okay, I mean, yeah, we kind of already knew that, so it's not really that surprising. But forget surprising. What's important is that we get this coffin, and the coffin that you're supposed to get is the one on the top left in this room. That's going to be important for the boss. But speaking on the final boss, we basically have everything we need in order to beat her. We have the tool, the coffin, the photo, and the diary. That's pretty much everything. So in that, we head back towards the inner sanctuary, place all 3 blue wax candles on the statues, and then give a hallelujah to open up into the weirdest area. But before we even dare enter there, I should recommend a simple couple of steps before you enter into the final area of the game. The first step being to make sure your character's at max level, okay? This is the final area, of course, which means that enemies are going to be tough as hell. So grinding in a survival horror game, or pre-survival horror game, is advised. Second, you are going to need spirit weapons in order to face this final boss. That's because I learned it the hard way on my first attempt fighting Lady Mamiya that physical weapons are kind of shit. So yeah, you're gonna need the spiritual weapons like runes or old weapons in order to do any damage physically to her. And lastly, make sure all your characters are healed up and that your prey points are back in order. So that way you have no mistakes going in, you're able to go back out, you're not locked into there as soon as you go in, but it's generally recommended. So yeah, without further ado, let's get the fuck out of here. This is what hell looks like? Shit's bitchin'. But too bad it's hell, so it's annoying to figure out, because this labyrinth, it can be a bit difficult to navigate sometimes, with these little spirits floating around that'll send you all the way back outside. There's no enemy encounter rates in here. There are enemies you need to fight. We'll get to that. But first of all, like I said, this place is just annoying to get through. Not as annoying as the West Islands, mind you, but just it's just annoying to get to. I mean, take a look at this fucking thing. It's not like you can pick either or which path. No, you gotta do both in order to progress, because you have to defeat all the little mini bosses in this area in order to take down the final one. And on those mini bosses, the first one we counter is right here. Oh shit! Well, like I said, the physical weapons ain't gonna do a damn thing, so, well, you have a multitude of options. You could, you know, take down, this spirit version of Emmy with prayer, or you could use your rune weapons, so, yeah. But all I really did was just spam a pray, so, yeah, that was a quick battle. When I reached that honestly kind of shook me a little. I was like, God damn, that was a great scare. But moving a bit forward, we then come across the second spirit mirror version of our characters. Yeah. few steps, we don't even get a chance to breathe, as our next battle is... Okay, from there, now I actually got a chance to breathe. I went back towards the inner sanctuary, gripped everybody together, and used tonics in order to regain health so I could press onward into that weird, hellish area once more. I figured this time, instead of having everybody going with me to the final area and having some members getting sent back to Mamiya's bedroom from those spirits, I'm gonna just send one man in with all the help, that being Kazuo, and the first person he goes up against is... And the second and the final mini-boss he goes up against is... Before I talk about the final boss, I really gotta talk about how far we've come. We're at the final area, and we just took down our mini-boss versions of ourselves. And, well, with that, we solved this mansion pretty much, and now we're gonna go face its tormentor. So, really, we did overcome that fear, and it's just amazing to see and unlock this puzzle pretty much. Like, shoot, for like the start of this genre, reaching this point right before the end, yeah, I mean, it's perfect, honestly. And I'll save more specifics in the conclusion, but just looking at this all,
by this all, I mean it's been an hour and 30 minutes.
It's gonna make our accomplishments and victory over Lady Mamiya even better. And shoot, we ought to get back to that, shouldn't we? Our way to escape, toe-to-toe with the lady of this mansion herself, Lady Mamiya. Now this fight is special from every other encounter that we had in this game. It's like a puzzle itself. You gotta use the items that we got earlier, the 4 items, and in this fight, in order to progress further, we used, of course, the photo in order to, you know, do some damage with the prayers. Which then takes us to the second phase of the fight, and it's the weirdest part, because in order to, first, before you can use any items at all, you have to deal 500 damage. Yeah, so in order to do that, I just hit her one at a time, and without spirit or rune weapons, I was completely so we'll just make do and tank with the damage. Oh, what?
愛と恐怖の脱出アドベンチャースイートホームザ・ファミコン。
So, that was Sweet Home on the Famicom. At least one of the 5 endings. In order to get the other endings, all you'd have to do is just, like, kill your other characters, because it's based off of how many people survived. And we just happened to get the best one for this playthrough. And that was fun. I really liked playing that, like, for this year. Going back to see the roots of survival horror before survival horror, that was incredible. And you could see it pretty much everywhere. I'll start with my thoughts, at least, being that I liked how everything was just, like I said many times, a puzzle game, unlocking parts of the mansion, using items to get around said mansion, finding out the lore of the place, putting together the notes, and even then, the final boss was just one big, you know, collection of puzzles that was throughout the entire game, all bundled into one in order to defeat her. If you can guess how many times I said the word puzzle in this entire video, I'll, like, I don't know, get you a cookie, I guess, but, like, still, yeah, that's what I enjoyed the most about it. And, well, being that we spent, like, what, over an hour covering this game, I just wonder what your thoughts are on it, because, like, I don't think my opinion should just, like, be the only thing out there. Like, it would be cool to see, you know, what everyone thought about it, about this game, be like, with everything that it has to offer. Cause, like, this was before fixed cameras and take controls, and then even then, pushing it forward, this is just on the Famicom, where it was just pixels, and you'd have to leave a lot to the player's imagination. So, it's like a lot of work to do to cram a bunch of content that wasn't there from the original material into it, pretty much. But, like, I don't really have much else to say from here. That was all saved for the content itself. And, well, we covered that. So, I guess the best thing would just be to cover how much Sweet Home has, like, affected the horror genre. And not just, like, from the, you know, survival horror games perspective, but, like, you know, with the little communities here on YouTube that cover it. The first one I recommend, which will be linked in the description, will be the remix tracks medley from E minor. They did an amazing job recreating some of the tracks from this game and updating them to sound so good and fluent that honestly you should just give them a listen. Here's an example of it right now. The next video I'll link, since I'm not really that much of a facts guy, is the Sweet Home region log vid that Did You Know Gaming made.
When speaking with Kiyoshi Kurosawa about the video game adaptation of his movie, he told not to worry if the game didn't follow the movie exactly. Fujiwara stated that he was able to use the film as a reference, and that with both the film and studio set at his disposal, he was able to use whatever elements he felt would work within the game. He was considerate of how to go about adapting the film into a game, adding extra elements to the story through diary entries from 50 years prior to the events of the game.
And the last video I'll recommend that you should check out after this video is the Sweet Home video that was made by The Gaming Muse, the game that inspired Resident Evil and Silent Hill. So, yeah.
But when monsters are encountered, a battle screen appears that brings them into gruesome focus. It's clear both the film and game knew their best feature was their monsters, and the pixel art for the creatures is incredible and horrific, and it's aged well. Even the game's canonical ending is meant to give players a bittersweet feeling because the film also had a rather bitter end.
But that's all I really have to say for this closing segment of the video. Lastly, thank you, viewer, for watching this video in its entirety. I know it must have been like super taxing to get through because, well, I'm a rookie YouTuber still and my audio is really bad. So yeah, I still thank you for watching it either way. It means a lot, and thank you once again to my Discord server for encouraging me to, you know, make this video in small snippets. And also I'd like to thank a YouTuber friend of mine named What. He helped me with some editing tricks here and there, so yep, massive appreciation to him.
You're doing great.
Whoa!
And yeah, you know, that's it. Why don't we close this freaking video out with a big bang, right? By celebrating the survival horror genre in its entirety, from games that Sweet Home directly and indirectly inspired in this long chain throughout the years. And, you know, without further ado, happy Halloween, everyone. Happy Halloween for 2024, and this is where I'll sign off. So, yeah, rock on. See ya.
Get the fuck out.